And I wanted to first, before we begin, acknowledge that we are holding this event on the unceded, ancestral, and traditional territories of the Musqueam, the Squamish, and the Tsleil-Waututh nations. And tonight's online demo is in one of our series of online events that's happening this week in advance of the 25th annual Culture Crawl. And it's happening November 18th to the 21st. And tonight we are pleased to welcome Kate MacDonald, who is a Culture Crawl artist, and her studio is in the Hamilton Bank building, and it will be open Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for the Culture Crawl. And tonight she will be doing a presentation on apes, punks, and one-to-ones collecting NFTs for blockchain beginners. So welcome, Kate, and I'm just going to turn my video off.
So thanks everyone for joining me tonight. We're going to talk about one of my favorite topics, which is NFTs. So I am a traditional and a digital artist. I've been making and exhibiting digital art since about 2010, and I've been creating NFTs since early this year. It's something I've been looking at and studying for the last couple of years as I had an interest in cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, and decentralized platforms, the blockchain, all of that. So I apparently have an hour, so I have to keep it under that. And I think I've worked out about half an hour of material, so there should be lots of time for you to ask me questions. Feel free to pop them in the chat as I go through. That would be helpful for me, and hopefully Laura can keep me apprised if I miss a question. And if you could, I'm not sure if you're able to just hop in and ask, but I will stop every couple of slides or so to see if you're following along okay. So I'm just going to share my screen. I did make some slides. One of the things I didn't get to do because of the technical difficulties is I actually have a Dropbox link for you. So you'll be able to download my slides, my marketplace chart, some helpful reference links, and a glossary. So I don't have those for you now, but I will be able to provide those to you after the session. So don't worry about writing anything down because I'm going to have it available for you. So without any further ado, let's find my slides. Here we go. So what's an NFT? I mean, we can see what's on the slide. There's a definition there. But that doesn't really tell us a lot unless you understand fungibility. So for example, a fungible token would be something like a dollar bill. And if you were to trade your dollar bill with someone else's dollar bill, that's an equal trade. That would be fungible. A non-fungible token, on the other hand, or non-fungibility, would suggest that it's irreplaceable, unique, and can't be replaced by substituting it with something else. So for example, if your uncle, say, had a signed Wayne Gretzky card and you had a regular Wayne Gretzky card, you couldn't trade your card with his and have a fair or equal trade. His is one of a kind and irreplaceable, where yours could be replaced with another, say, Wayne Gretzky card from the same series and year. So essentially, what you are buying when you buy an NFT artwork is the token of the artwork, which is really a certificate of ownership. I think that's the best way to look at it. Just like when you buy something else that's maybe ethereal like that. We can think of things as we go along, but there are lots of other things you could look at. Say, for example, people always come up with the question, why would I buy a JPEG when I can just right-click save it on the internet? And the thing is if you have pride of ownership, you don't get that with a right-click save. I mean, everybody can download a picture of the Mona Lisa from the internet, but only the Louvre owns it. And just to clear up this point, because I get asked it a lot, is copyright is not conferred with NFT ownership. It's the same as owning any other work of art, although an artist may choose to include copyright usage within the token itself. So the holder of that token may be able to use it for some copyright purposes for the time that they hold that token. So I don't know if anybody has any questions yet. Let me get my chat open here. How's everybody making out? Am I going too quickly or should I keep going? Awesome. I don't see anybody, so I'm going to keep going. So it's actually pretty easy to get started with NFTs and collecting NFTs and minting NFTs. There's only three things you need to do. You need to set up a digital wallet. You have to add cryptocurrency to it. And then you find artists and art you like, and you add them to your collection, essentially. There's a few more steps in there, but those are the three main things that you need to learn how to do. And those were the kind of the steps that kept me stumped for a few months last year when I was trying to work my way through it. And there's so many more people in the community now that are involved with NFTs. It's actually easier to find support as you do these things. So let's start walking through these. So setting up, whoops, I went a little bit too far. So setting up your crypto wallet. Most wallets you're going to use to connect to these marketplaces and which hold your crypto are web-based. Some, like MetaMask, you'll get a link for that, work as a Chrome extension, while others like Kukai, that's a Tezos-based wallet, will work in your browser. And there are links to both of these in your materials, like I said. Your wallet will also provide you with the address from which you'll be completing transactions on the blockchain. And not all of these transactions are monetary, as they're also used to sign into marketplaces and various platforms, similar to how you would log in with a password, except it's your wallet connecting to the website directly. And then you sign it. So an important thing when it comes time to set up your wallet, and that'll be like a free download from the internet from one of those links I'll share with you, is that there will be it's called a seed phrase, and it's generated for you. And that's usually 12 to 20 four-letter words. And what you need to do is write these down by hand and in order in case you lose access to your account at a later date, or if you want to install it on another device. There's no way you don't get to go, I forgot my password, and support gets back to you when you relink. You have to keep control of your seed phrases if you want to get entry back into your account. And that's one of the ways we keep our crypto secure, is by protecting our seed phrases. So while we're on the topic of seed phrases, we'll just talk a little bit about wallet safety, which is a little bit like internet safety, except there's a couple of other things. So let's find that slide. You're never going to share the seed phrase you generate with anyone, ever. If you're having issues and you're going through wallet support from the actual organization, they will never ask you for your seed phrase. The only people that will ever ask you for your seed phrase are scammers who want it because they want to steal your crypto and take the tokens out of your wallet. So one thing I do to keep my seed phrase safe is I have it written down and I have it photocopied and I have it stored in separate locations so that I don't only have it at my house in case my house burns down, but I have it, in a couple other places where I'll know it'll be safe. So that's just one, little bit of kind of oddness when it comes to keeping your crypto wallet safe that you might not be used to with other things you do online. So store your phrase offline. You don't want it on your computer in a photo. Some people take photos and then their things get hacked. And they have image searches that find these text-based components, and people have lost their crypto wallets that way. So store it offline. And then this one's pretty basic, stranger danger. Don't click on links from anyone you don't know in, say, direct messages, like on Twitter or on Discord servers, because there are people there and they're fantastic at what they do, which is make you feel comfortable, make you feel like you're friendly with them, that you can count on them, and then they're going to ask you for something one day, or they're going to suggest you fill out a form, and they're going to gain access into your computer and possibly install malware on it, and again, get into your wallet. And so the next part of that is you always want to make sure that you're sending your cryptocurrency to the proper wallet address. Well, the proper wallet and the proper wallet address. And this is because Ethereum can only be sent to a wallet that is on the Ethereum blockchain, or Ether can only be sent on the Ethereum blockchain, and Tezos can only go to a wallet on the Tezos blockchain. So just something to keep in mind, and you want to make sure you've got the right address, because once you sent it, it's gone. So always double check your wallet address. Are there any questions so far? Anyone? Maybe Laura, you can pop in and let me know if you see anything in the chat while I work my way through the slides. That would be super helpful. So wallets are actually great. Your wallet address is your ID on the blockchain, and it's going to be generated when you create the account. I'm going to show you a photo of that on the next slide, so you'll get an idea of what I'm talking about with this address. It's actually a long string of numbers and characters in a particular order, and they make it easy to copy link, so that will be your public address that you can share on the internet. So you can use it to send cryptocurrency, because that's how you get it from your broker into your wallet. You don't normally buy crypto from within the wallet. That's going to come from a separate broker, especially in Canada, because we have fewer brokers that we're able to buy crypto from than in the United States. Your address can be used to trace transactions. In fact, if you have someone's address, you can trace all of their transactions on the blockchain, it's kind of fun sometimes to do, or sometimes pick an actual contract of a piece of art or something and trace it all the steps back to when it was minted. That's actually something you can do and pretty easily. We can take a look at that later if you like. And then you also use your wallet is like your sign in to any of these NFT marketplaces. So just like you would sign into, say, Facebook, instead of writing your username and password, you click this icon that says wallet or connect wallet, and you select the type of wallet you have, and then it looks for the registry key on your computer, and then your wallet will pop up and ask you to sign whether you're entering that site or not. So you always just want to make sure you're entering the site you said you're going to be entering, but it's pretty straightforward once you get used to doing it, but a little odd if you're not used to doing it. So that's why we're doing this workshop. So any questions so far? Oh, I see there's...
Yeah, there's a question. Yep. About
how much...
Go ahead.
So this is tricky. We're going to talk about gas fees in a little bit, and gas fees have been pretty high the last couple of months. So when I first started out, I had like maybe a couple of $100 in my wallet. Well, a couple of $100 Canadian worth of Ether in my wallet, and that was enough for me to do some small purchases and also do some minting on the gas chain, or sorry, on the blockchain. But now there's kind of an issue with gas. Before you might be doing something and it would be a $15 transaction, and now that's maybe a $50 or a $60 or $100 transaction, and that makes you kind of think twice about whether you want to even purchase something at that time. But who pays the gas varies on what marketplace you're on and how you're actually making the transaction. But we will, I promise, get to that. If you are on the Tezos blockchain, you can start with a lot less. A Tezos, I think, is around maybe $6 US today, possibly in that range. And you can buy art for under one Tezos, and the gas fees are pretty cheap. You can buy art all the way up to the hundreds of Tezos too, but there's lots of fun limited editions and things on the Tezos blockchain. So if you just want to get started and test out what it's like to collect NFTs, that's where I would start, just because there's lots of options and multiple editions and great people to follow. It's kind of like the Turkish bazaar of the NFT art world a little bit, but it's also lots of fun and much lower risk if you're using less money. So I think that answers that question. So let me just show you what these, whoops, I lost my mouse, things look like. So this is a picture of what my MetaMask wallet looks like when it pops up. So, and this would pop up, say, if I go to my OpenSea account and it's going to ask me to sign. But when I want to add Ether to my wallet, this is the address I use. It's going to say account 1, and it's got that little box beside it. And you click that box and it's going to copy your wallet address. And so what you would do after that is, I know my first 5 digits are 0x86D, and that my last few digits are 80DC. So I just kind of make sure when I click and I copy over that those are actually the first and the last digits I'm seeing in the address that I'm using. So let me just go over. And so I was talking about how cool it is that you can trace transactions on the blockchain. So one thing you can do, for example, is if I'm looking in, well, sometimes I look in someone else's wallet because I want to know what they got. I know that's not good. You can copy pretty much anyone's public address from their accounts on OpenSea or Foundation or wherever. And as long as they're on the Ethereum blockchain, you pop them into the Etherscan Explorer here into this box, which I just did with mine. And it's going to pull up my wallet address. It's going to show me my balance, the value of that today, how many tokens, which are different types of tokens that I have in it. Yeah, it's just interesting. And then it could actually, you can scale down and see all of your transactions, and you can break them up into withdrawals, additions, things like that. So I just think that's kind of fun stuff. That's what I like about being on the blockchain, is all of those transactions can be open and transparent. So, and it's a good way to check if you think you're being possibly, being taken advantage of by someone, or if somebody's not a great player. It's not the only way, but it's a good way. And just, I wanted to show you what it looks like when you sign into a site. So this would be me on my Foundation account. And what I would do is, when I went to the Foundation, just foundation.app, I would hit connect wallet. It's going to ask me, a pop-up comes up. It says, is this MetaMask, Formatic, Temple, whatever kind of wallet? And you just hit whatever type of wallet it is, and then your wallet pops up. Oh, where did it go? In your browser extension, and it just asks if you're going to sign that transaction to join Foundation. And that's just what I do every time I go to Foundation. I don't have a password or an email address connected or anything like that. Are there other things coming down on this chat that I can't see? I think we're good. So is everybody following along? Okay, are there any questions? It's kind of funny just to talk to myself. So I guess we'll move on to buying cryptocurrency, which is also, well, figuring it out was a little adventure in itself, but it's actually easier. I've wondered about those terminals and going to them, or doing this or doing that, or which brokers even are legitimate to use. And being in Canada, we don't have the same amount of options. So your broker and where you buy it, what you buy there, depends on what they carry. So most of the brokers available in Canada, I normally use BitBuy, sell Ethereum or sell Ether on the Ethereum blockchain. And then there are fewer that work in altcoin like Tezos, but Coinbase actually carries Tezos. So I generally go to Coinbase and pick up my Tezos there, or if I need both at the same time, I'll get them there. And then I transfer them by, yes, I see Jai is asking if I have a recommendation. I believe MetaMask does. You're probably going to pay higher fees that way. I mean, it's worth checking out. I use bitbuy.ca for my Ether transactions and coinbase.com for my Tezos normally. And you can do Bitcoin and a lot of the major ones out of BitBuy as well. They just don't carry Tezos. So the one thing about setting up, it's BitBuy. So BIT. Let me see how my typing skills are tonight. BitBuy.ca. No, not great. So bitbuy.ca, coinbase.com. And so both of these are brokerages that you can have Canadian accounts with, because that's part of it, is being able to transfer money from your bank account to the brokerage, as opposed to using a credit card or something else, because you generally want to kind of avoid those fees wherever you can, because you will be paying gas transactions on everything else down the road. The one thing about setting up these broker accounts is they're going to ask you for a lot of information, and that's due to government regulations. They've tightened up a lot in the last year, so they're going to ask you for everything they ask you when you open a bank account, which includes ID. So you'll provide proof of ID, like by taking a photo on the internet or connecting with your camera or whatever. So just so you know, because it does feel a little invasive, because you're giving up a lot of information on the internet, but at the same time, you have to give up some information in order to buy crypto because of all of the money laundering regulations and things like that. And of course, there are always tax implications. So I'm no tax expert, but just so you're aware, if you make money on trading cryptocurrencies and you withdraw that money back to fiat currency, Canadian dollars, then you are going to be assessed capital gains tax on that, or loss if you've lost money in the process. So that's just something to keep in mind if you think you're going to get into cryptocurrency and start moving it around, or there actually are tax implications. And I believe that these brokerages report to the government the same way the banks do on large transactions. So not financial advice, just something to keep in mind. So that's kind of a lot of the technical stuff already. How's everybody feeling out there? Are you keeping with me? Oh, I see there's a question in the Q&A. Okay, there's a Q&A. OpenSea and others. Okay, we are going to get to that. And when I share, I do have the Dropbox link either, and I will share it with the Culture Crawl staff so they can send it out to you. There's actually a marketplace comparison chart that I've created, and it has, say, the marketplace, the link to go to that marketplace, what wallets you can use to connect to that marketplace, what the blockchain is, and then just some notes on each of them. So in general, for right now, OpenSea is one of the marketplaces where you buy NFTs. And what's great about OpenSea is it's one of the first marketplace platforms that came about. It's very open. They don't verify identities only with celebrities or something like that. So any artist can get in and on and start minting their artwork on the blockchain. And they actually can cross-reference marketplaces such as Foundation and Maker's Place and Rarible. So you can actually go to OpenSea and buy something from Foundation and just to see it all in one place by the same artist. It's neat because it's actually built right on the blockchain. So all of that information is stored on the blockchain, not within the individual networks themselves. So, let's talk about how we decide to buy art, or what the different types of art are available on the blockchain, because there's kind of three main things right now. And that is one of ones, limited editions, and then the generative PFPs. So it's kind of what you like, kind of depends on your motivation for collecting. So you're either interested in owning or displaying digital art because you love the art form and you want to own some. And maybe you're buying it as a long-term investment, thinking it might increase in value in the future. Or, and not financial advice, there are people that like to buy NFTs to flip in the short term. So our famous apes and punks and things you see trading at high amounts of money now. So it's interesting, and it's hard to guess where that's all going to go, but that's not really the kind of collecting I do. I do have some generative PFPs, but they're a little bit different from those giant famous projects. So the types of NFTs, one-of-ones are essentially a one-of-a-kind artwork. It would be the same as buying a painting. There's only one of them. It's been minted as one. The artist isn't going to mint anymore on the blockchain. And they can be created by a single artist or a collaboration with various artists. And they could be any kind of media. There could be text or sound involved. It could be books, music, and like I said, paintings. Some artists actually include the physical art object for when you purchase the token, they'll ship it to you. But this raises some questions about the future, about what will happen when that owner sells the token, if they'll actually pass along the physical artwork that the artist originally attached to it. So it's an interesting concept. Some artists, if they can't sell the physical artwork and they sell the token, they actually physically burn the artwork at that point. And then other artists, if they sell the physical artwork and they've already minted it as a token, they'll actually burn the token, which means to burn it, remove it from the blockchain. So just some interesting ideas in play there. And I should say that actually the blockchain, the NFTs, weren't actually invented for art or gaming or collectibles. When Bitcoin had been around for a few years, the developers of Ethereum recognized that Bitcoin could probably be more useful if it had a way to attach a token to the network. So Ethereum was essentially created in reference to that, and they originally thought it would be used for things like real estate transactions, certificates, licensing, official registrations, like saying being called to the bar. So it just so happens that artists beat everyone to it. So, and we're pretty happy about that. So one-of-ones are like original one-of-a-kind artworks, and editions are limited editions. They could be in any size. I see editions of 3 or 5 or 10 or 500. So just like buying a limited edition print, except when that edition is minted, it's minted in that quantity on the blockchain. And when you buy it, you can see you're buying 1 of 4 or 6 of 13 or 8 of 25. So it's not, there's no secret to how many are in an edition. You're going to know that before you purchase a piece. It's pretty apparent. And then those collectibles, the large generative projects. So those are the apes I mentioned, or the Larva Lab punks. These are really interesting. They take whole teams to develop, and what they're called generative because when the contract is realized, there's been thousands of traits. So various parts of the artwork have been designed. And when the object is minted, these traits distribute out among the number of pieces made. In many cases, there might be 10,000 items to one of these projects. So 10,000 items will have like probably millions of possible combinations of variations, which either increases or decreases the rarity of some of these traits. And you don't know what you're actually getting at the time you mint until the project reveals. So it's a little bit like Christmas. You buy this unseen token, you wait hopefully until it sells out when they do the reveal, and then maybe the next day you get to see what you actually bought. And people, of course, have started flipping them around by that time. So it's crazy. So you need generally a team of artists to create all the artwork, and then you need developers to do all the coding. And then there's marketing and community managers because they're primarily hype driven. There's lots of Discord servers and parties possibly, and giveaways, and they really try to drive hype. And when you buy one, they want you to keep hyping the project so that other people will stay excited about the project and want part of it. And some of these have particular utilities. So say a membership. You might get a membership in a special group of only holders of that token. And so you get invited to these, say, we just had NFT NYC NFT. And so I believe that the holders of Apes went on a big yacht party, which was apparently very fantastic. I don't own an ape. I wasn't in New York. I did not go to the party, but the photos were great. So back to collecting NFTs. It's just like buying regular art. Only buy things that you like and are genuinely interested in owning, because there's no guarantee that the price will increase in the mid or long term. And to me, what's really important is learning about the artist, not just falling in love with a piece and buying it, but learning about the artist by checking out their website and social media. And if you can't find links to those on their profile page in the marketplace, then don't buy their art. It's possibly plagiarized. And when something like that happens, it's buyer beware, caveat emptor. So interesting, but we'll get to that part. We'll get to that, the buyer beware. So Ethereum and alternative blockchains. Here's another consideration. Ethereum is the gold standard, like I said, for NFTs. It's why NFTs were developed. And it's going to be around for a really, really, really long time. I would say as long as the Bitcoin blockchain exists, the Ethereum blockchain will exist separate, but alongside it. There's, billions of dollars involved in massive amounts of computers, and I don't see the Ethereum blockchain going anywhere. Tezos is an altcoin, so it's a little more variable. It's hard to say. I would love to see the Tezos blockchain go on in perpetuity. It has a lot of advantages. So gas is much cheaper on the Tezos blockchain, and artists put a lot of experimental artwork on there, and it's generally so cheaper to collect. You might see some more editions of the same artist you see on the Ethereum blockchain, but they do more editions for smaller amounts of money just because they're trying things out. And I believe that whatever happens to Tezos, that the NFTs on the Tezos blockchain kind of represent an important niche in NFT history, just because it became so popular with artists due to the cost of gas fees. And when gas fees are high and when Ethereum's high, there's fewer collectors, but artists still want to make art and sell art. And so artists began making and selling art on these alternate blockchains, kind of for their own amusement and to make a little bit of extra money when things aren't going well on, say, OpenSea or Maker's Place for them. So they're interesting. And like I said, they're kind of the Turkish bazaar of the NFT art world, but you're going to see as many big names on the Tezos blockchain as you do on the Ethereum blockchain. And most artists have multiple accounts across all the channels. So it's not like the real art world, where people are represented exclusively by one gallery or two galleries. Artists are generally represented wherever they want to be represented or where they're curated in. And that's kind of the next thing we're going to talk about, curated versus open marketplaces. So, and this is exactly the kind of like the difference between buying an artwork from a gallery versus buying an artwork from a studio during culture crawl. Artists have to be accepted into these curated marketplaces. It's not necessarily on the basis of the art. Sometimes it's on decisions are made with regards to how much social media engagement they have, as opposed to how much art they're producing. And there's a higher level of verification though, which is great for collectors because it gives you the sense that somebody's checked this person out and there's another safeguard that you're going to end up with a plagiarized artwork or a copy mint of someone else's work. But some of the artwork you'll find on OpenSea and the non-curated marketplaces is just as good, just the same as when you go to a studio during Culture Crawl. You never know what you're going to find or what you're going to like, and there's all kinds of ways to see whether art is legitimate or not, and we'll get to that. Did I hear a question pop up? Laura, where's my Q&A? Let's see. Nope. Okay, I think we're still good. So, and that brings us to gas fees. So I've mentioned these a few times. There was actually something called the gas wars this spring. And I think we might be in the midst of new gas wars. They're interesting. So gas, we're getting back into the technical kind of concepts again. Gas is required for every blockchain transaction to compensate for the computational power. That's how the miners who are mining, aka making sure these transactions go through, get paid. They're not a platform service fee, although those may also be charged on sales, and they vary by marketplace. That's also included in the chart of marketplaces. I'm going to make sure you guys all have access to after this. So the gas fee is essentially set by miners and determined by supply and demand. And like I said, the amount can vary wildly. When I began, transactions were in the $15 to $20 range. I've seen days when I go to buy something and it would cost me $800 on top of the price of what I was trying to buy. And that's just a hard no. They're working to that, to fix this on the Ethereum blockchain. They're moving from proof of work to proof of stake, hopefully, which is just another way of how the computational model works. Hopefully this year or very early in the new year. They've been promising it for a while, and that's going to reduce the amount that is going to be required of computational power. So less computational power means fewer fees paid to the miners, and Bob's your uncle. And one of the things with the gas fees is if there's a big project drop, so this big 10,000 project drop that everybody wants happens at a particular time of day, the gas just might shoot up like crazy. So that's when it goes from, say, $50 to $800. And it's because there's so many people online trying to buy this token. And one of the ways you can kind of get your bid put through faster, which is what you want to do if there's a limited supply of this NFT you're trying to buy, is by bidding up the gas. So I've heard of times with projects similar to the Apes that people will bid $2,000 in gas to buy an NFT that might be costing them $200 because they really want that NFT. But that, of course, raises the gas fees for everybody else on the network because miners are seeing that that's what people are getting for those transactions. So yeah, Ethereum gas fees are really high right now. We're hoping they're going to go down. Polygon is a marketplace that's built around the Ethereum blockchain network, but it's powered by a different altcoin called Matic. So we're just recently seeing more artists moving to the Polygon network because they can move their NFTs around and sell them, but still see them on the Ethereum blockchain. So it's an interesting place to shop, and you can actually go to OpenSea and just pick Polygon as the marketplace from OpenSea, and then you're only seeing those low gas alternatives for your shopping cart. And the good news is you have the opportunity within your wallet. Just want to see where we are. Okay, I'll get to that. To reset what you're offering for gas. So, but don't do that. I mean, if you're doing it higher, great. But if you bid your gas too low, what might happen is the gas gets accepted. They don't complete your transaction, and then you're out the amount of gas that you just paid and got nowhere for it. So always pay the average price for gas. The good news is you will have an opportunity when you hit buy your wallet is going to estimate what that gas fee is going to be for you, and you have the opportunity at that point to either reject or confirm whether you want to purchase it. So just because you hit buy doesn't mean you're locked in on that gas fee. You get another chance to either confirm or reject the transaction when it comes to your wallet. So it's interesting sometimes. And the other thing is, I was just moving to the slide. What I do is I use what's called an Ethereum Gas Tracker. There's a few online. I've included this in the links with the materials package. And it's just a good place to go to see where gas is sitting at a particular time of day. It tends to go up and down. Remember, this is an international market. It doesn't all happen between 9 to 5 in the United States. So there are particular times of day it will drop, but then it might rise up again in the middle of the night. So you kind of, if there's a bunch of transactions you want to do, you just kind of set your gas tracker in your browser window and watch it, or set it up for alerts. I usually try to do my transactions at an average of 50 Gwei. And then for something on OpenSea, usually the Uniswap swap here would kind of be the amount I'd estimate it's going to cost me to put my transaction, whether it's me accepting a bid on something or paying someone else for their NFT, is going to cost me. And as I said, that's an extra fee that goes to the miners. It doesn't actually go to the platforms, who may also be charging fees on top of that. So just interesting to know about the recurring gas flows. So we're getting there. Buying your first NFT. So there are auctions and there are set price listings, which is essentially exactly like it sounds. Some artists prefer to set their price outright and walk away, while others will try to sell it through auction to receive a higher bid. One thing to keep in mind, if you're bidding on auction, if it doesn't meet the minimum reserve price set by the artist or platform, they don't necessarily have to accept it if it doesn't reach the reserve bid. And if they do accept it, you might be on the hook for the gas price, or they might be on the hook for the gas price because it didn't hit reserve. And then your bid might be accepted or rejected again because of that. So that's just something to keep in mind. Sometimes, say for Maker's Place, for example, an item doesn't go on auction until the first bid is placed, and then it's on auction for 24 hours with a countdown clock where anyone else can come in or not come in. But a lot of artists are happy to just take the first bid after the clock runs down. They don't stop the clock because that incurs another fee again. So you can also, if you think, say, something's maybe overvalued or you're not comfortable paying for it in ETH, you can make bids on set price listings. And in that case, the artist has to pay the gas fee to accept it. So they may or may not want to necessarily accept a lower price if gas is high. In some of those cases, so for example, I've had 3-day offers on pieces, so I'll let them know that I'm interested, but that gas has to go down, and then I would watch the gas over the next 3 days before the offer runs out, and buy it when gas is opportunely low, as opposed to just accepting the bid outright. And a lot of artists do that. And I have received bids in things other than Ether. So for example, DAI, D-A-I, it's a stable coin based on the US dollar. And some collectors really prefer just to think in terms of their own fiat currency. So they may make you bids on that, and then there'll just be a fee to swap your DAI for Ether, or however you want it. You can also withdraw DAI from your wallet as well. So interesting, lots of things to think about with that. So who's going to pay the gas? Oh, I think I got away from that. Okay, so let's just go back to the gas for a second. So paying the gas. If the reserve on an auction has been met, which is usually 1 ETH, that's a substantial amount of money. That's around $5,000 Canadian right now. The platform should be paying the gas on that transaction. The artist pays the gas if they accept a bid on an offer, and the purchaser pays the gas if they buy a piece outright. And that kind of changes marketplace to marketplace, but that's generally the gist of it. And it won't be a surprise. Like I said, any gas or extra fee when you go to hit buy is going to show up in your wallet. And at that time, you can either reject or confirm it. One thing to know about placing bids and offers is that that money will then be held in escrow until the bid is either accepted or rejected. And that's why it has a time limit on it, say of 1 day or 3 days. And that's so that you can't go placing all these bids on everything and not have the money to cover them in your wallet when all the artists accept. But at the same time, it means you're not overexposed by having your money just sitting in an escrow account where you can't touch it for a few days. So that's why they do that. And that's actually kind of how, I don't know if anybody remembers Silk Road, but it used to be, this was the fun thing about Silk Road and Bitcoin in the old days, is you would say pay for a good or a service on Silk Road, and then the Bitcoin would be held in escrow by a third party. And then when the second party said they had received whatever it was they were supposed to receive, then the money held in escrow would be sent back to the person who was selling the good in the first place. So, and that's kind of the joy of the blockchain, decentralized ledgers, and all of that. So with regards to price considerations, artist one-of-ones are generally more valuable and therefore more expensive than their limited editions. And that's similar to the real world. It's not really based on, say, the size of the piece so much as its scarcity. So that's why one-of-ones are more important, because it's a one-of-one. There's only one token of ownership out there. And then market volatility is kind of crazy because we see crypto prices go up and down all the time in the market, and they actually do affect price of NFTs. So some artists and collectors are very tied to, say, Ether. So 0.2 is 0.2 Ether. They don't care because an ETH is an ETH is an ETH. Other artists are very sensitive to that and will start lowering their prices as crypto goes higher, but this can have a negative effect with their previous collectors who may have paid so much more on ETH for it and are generally tied to the blockchain and the idealism surrounding it as well. So because, yeah, so Ethereum is high right now, so people are looking in their wallets, they see a lot of money and they're not buying art right now. So when Ether drops low again and the gas goes down a bit as well, then people seem to be much happier and buy way more NFTs, which is something I like as both an artist and as a collector, because I do own NFTs of my own as well. So moving on, there's some of the marketplaces here. So we've got OpenSea here, which is what Don was asking us about earlier. And like I said, that's an open marketplace. Another one that could be in there is OpenSea Rarible Mintable, I believe, is an open marketplace where you don't have to be verified. There are community curated, which is a little bit different than regular curated. So Foundation, which I'm also on, you have to be invited by another artist already on Foundation. And the only way as an artist to get an invitation to offer to somebody is to actually sell on Foundation. So every time you sell an artwork on Foundation, they give you additional links that you can share with the rest of the community for people who would like to join. And a lot of people tie those invitations to gaining Twitter followers and Twitter engagement, things like that. So just interesting. And then curated and verified, super rare, which is they're the, I'd say, the creme de la creme of the curated marketplaces. They've been around a really long time. The art's very expensive and it's really hard to get into. Most artists try 10, 15 times to have an application received. So it's an ongoing process to get accepted on super rare. And then Maker's Place, similar, a little bit easier to get accepted, but curated and verified again. And then Known Origin is also a great curated site. It's been around for a long time. It's run by actual artists. And what they do, rather than accept applications year round, is they'll say, we're now accepting 1,500 applications today. And once that happens, they close and then they send out their notifications pretty quickly. So, but there's been so much new in the world of NFTs and NFT artists that it's even difficult for these large marketplaces to stay on top of trends and artists and what's actually happening. I always say if I shut down Twitter for an hour, it's like coming back a week later because so much may have happened in the interim. So, and I've made a little chart of these, like I said, with all of the details about how to access them, what currency they use, and all of that I'll be sharing with you. Now, let's, what's next? Oh, and so those were Ethereum marketplaces. These are Tezos based ones. So Hikiknunk, that's fun saying that. A lot of time we just call it Hen. Calumet and object.com. And object.com is kind of built like the OpenSea. It's relatively new of the Tezos blockchain, and it kind of amalgamates everything on Hikiknunk and Calumet, for example. So very interesting, lots of fun to collect there. I can, oh, we still have a little bit of time. I might have time to show you some of my NFTs there because they're kind of crazy and wild. Fun.
There's also a couple questions, Kate, that came in.
Okay, I can't.
Yeah. Will the NFT market become flooded with art?
Can I? Are they in the Q&A?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's flooded with art already. There's a lot of art, but the regular marketplace is flooded with art. What you want to do is make sure if you're buying art from someone, maybe that they've been around for a while, that they have staying power, that they're not going to get started and get frustrated and leave in a month, because there's a lot of that. People mint things and get frustrated and never come back because they didn't sell within the first week. But it's as much as there's more art entering, there's more money entering as well, because all of these artists begin collecting from each other on top of it, which is exciting. And actually, in some cases, passing money around in such a way that artists in developing countries have an opportunity to participate on the blockchain or with NFTs, which they wouldn't normally have because of the cost. So for example, when the Tezos blockchain was starting out, Tezos were relatively cheap, but artists in particular countries couldn't get them. So if I made money and I knew by selling an NFT on Tezos that another artist was trying to figure out how to get on Tezos, I might send them a couple just so they could start themselves. And there was a lot of that then. And now on the Tezos blockchain, I believe Hikiknunk, which is very small, is doing volume of $90,000 a day in art sales, which is US, which is, and that's small potatoes compared to what's happening on OpenSea and Super Rare and those larger Ethereum chains. So there's lots of art and money changing hands. And what's been really interesting to see is how people's art has grown and changed over the last few months that I've been following them. So it really is kind of worth spending some time immersing yourself in the NFT culture, getting to know the names and watch who other people are following and see how other people's art develops, because there's been a real move, I think, in the last little while from more of that kind of video game looking art and what we call trash art, which is also kind of fun, and moving to these really interesting illustrative digital paintings and abstract pieces. And there's a lot of really great conceptual sound art out there right now. I mean, that's not everybody's cup of tea, but as a digital artist, it's wonderful to me to see digital art finding a home with collectors, when for so long it's something we just did on our computers and shared amongst ourselves, and it never really found a foothold or a following. So, but to follow NFTs, you really need to be on Twitter, because that's where most of the NFT community resides and engages. And the reason for that is because of countries banning cryptocurrency. Facebook for a number of years would take down artist NFT pages, and Instagram would do the same and enacted a lot of shadow bans. So because Twitter was relatively easy for artists to come to and talk about NFTs and art, it really gained a foothold there. So I think I totally went over on that question. Is there another one? Oh,
Yes.
foundation goes away, people lose their tokens. No, in fact, this is so fascinating. I mean, this before. Because the tokens are minted to the blockchain. They can only go away if the blockchain goes away. Foundation could disappear. Those tokens still exist and that ownership is still conferred. So, and I said this was interesting because something like this just happened the other day, not with Foundation, but this is one of those days where I shut down Twitter for a few hours and I came back and the entire Hicketnunk marketplace had been discontinued and disappeared because one of the developers was having a mental health day and just took it all down. But because things were on the blockchain, within a matter of hours, there was a mirrored hen site with a different browser, because it's all built on open source applications where you could still access your art. Someone else had created a swap tool where you could swap things that had been in your hen account to this new account, even though hen wasn't there anymore. And all of these pieces were still showing up on object.com in our wallets, which was, I mean, it's fantastic because you say these things in theory, but then you see them happen and your token is still there and it gives you that kind of confidence and you see the community coming together to make sure that the artists and collectors will still be able to access their artworks. So crazy, and hen's back now. Crazy, but it really is the Wild West out there, which is exciting and a little nerve-wracking some days, but very interesting. So we wanted to talk, I've still got a couple minutes, buyer beware on NFTs, learn about the artists, make sure they have social media, see if they have similar artworks in their accounts, and is the artist seem active and engaged with the rest of the community, because if they're not talking to anyone, they're probably not legitimate either. So I know we're close to the end. Is there any last questions before we wrap up? I really did make it to the end of the slides. Anyone?
That are all thinking about it. That was fantastic. That was just amazing.
Well, what if I could have one more minute? I can probably grab that link to the Dropbox and put it in our chat, if that's all right with everyone. Great. Just I need to find. Oops.
Here's one question too from Dorothy. It says, would love to see your NFTs.
Oh, I'll be showing them in my studio during crawl. I'm going to have them. Oh, you mean here? I can show you some right now. I can show you some on. Well, no. Come by to my studio during crawl, and I'll be showing them on a screen there. And I will also share my collections and then with you too. Whoops, is that another question coming in? I'm not just trying to get you to my studio.
No, that was just, yeah, someone was saying, thank you, very interesting presentation. So once wonderful. Again, Kate will be welcoming people in her studio at the Hamilton Bank building Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So Thursday and Friday nights, 5 to 10, and then Saturday and Sunday, 11 to 6. So please join her for the crawl and you can find out more about Kate and her artwork. And thanks everybody for joining us this evening. I think, oh, did we get one more Q&A?
I believe I just put it into the chat.
Okay, perfect.
I hope that's the right link.
Oh, everybody. I think you need
Lord,
to
Lord
share
knows
it.
what
I think you shared it with me. You just need to share it with everyone. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. My apologies. Yeah, okay. This is the actual proper link. Straight back to attendees. Oops. Melissa. Sorry, I lost my things. To everyone. There we go. And these are all those materials that I didn't have time to put in first. So now you have access to them now, or you can email me or Laura and we will send the link to you. So thanks for coming by.
All right. Thanks again, and hope to see you at the crawl. Our upcoming programming, we've got a couple more demos as well that are taking place tomorrow night, and all of that information is on our website at culturecrawl.ca, as well as links to the events that have already taken place. So thanks again, and take good care.